Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for inviting me to this breakfast. It's, I guess, first day this week when I had time for breakfast, so it's good. And I would also like to thank everyone for coming here to listen to me, because I feel like somebody who's constantly announcing bad news, so I'm amazed that there are so many people willing to come to listen to more bad news. But I hope that at least this community understands that this is just short-term bad news, and that actually this is what we are talking about now, something that is necessary to do in order to put Slovenia on a better way for future. I have prepared a short presentation, which I would like to lead you through and maybe add some of my comments to the slides, and then I think we have a discussion. It's like like I said, it's getting the groundwork now, and we've just been in government for 2 months, and I think to make a comparison, if any one of you would come as a new appointed manager to a company that would be financially in a similar condition that our country is now, you would start doing, I guess, very similar things first. So look where the cost can be cut, how we can put expenditures a little bit more in line with what we are actually earning on the revenue side. Now, of course, we all know this is just the first step, and we have, as what also mentioned, combined these savings measures already with some tax incentives, and also with what is very important for us, the program for the banking sector, which actually can help the economy much. So a short country overview and then some of our objectives and measures. Now these are the growth the growth data for Slovenia. Slovenia is the yellow line, as you see, and the growth prospects actually for this year are not very good, partially because of the savings measures, but this is something that is necessary to go through in order to be online to a higher growth rate in next year and next years to come. And Slovenia, as you also know, has been one of the countries that suffered most from the economic crisis within the EU. So our decline in GDP was one of the largest, and partly because of structural weaknesses that we had already at the beginning of the crisis, and partly because measures to fight the crisis were not appropriate. So we have we have sustained actually over the years a quite high public deficit with no really visible effects on the growth rates or on employment rates. So that was not totally wasted, but at least not as effective as it could be. And we are now in a situation where we have no other choice than to start lowering this deficit. So it makes it much harder at the same time to lower the deficit and try not to kill the economy by doing that, and try to, like we said, reduce the public spending in order to open the room for private economy to grow. Now these are in principle our targets. So what we have announced for this year is 3% deficit in the budget, 3% of GDP deficit in the state budget. This chart shows our goals for the total general government deficit, which is usually a little bit larger because it includes other things that are not in the narrow state budget, the capital transfers, for example. And so our estimate, but this is really an estimate, is that if we bring the budget down to 3% this year, then the total public deficit will be a little bit higher. But what is very important for us is to be on this target, 2.5% deficit, or maybe 2.6 next year, because this is something that we promised to the EU and also to the international community. And this is actually the target we need to hit. This is the basis on which our economic policy will be evaluated. And it will not be evaluated in 2014, so it will not be a backward evaluation, it will be a forward-looking evaluation. And this is something that we are trying to explain to people all the time. It's this month when the European Commission will make their forecast. And in this forecast, they will make it quite clear whether they think, not that our plans are good, but whether they think that these plans are feasible and whether we are as a government able also to implement them politically, not just draft the plans and adopt the plans. And this is why we are investing so much time in negotiations with the trade unions, with the social partners, because we can always try, and we are determined actually, there is no agreement to push these measures through in the parliament. We have a clear majority in the parliament, but you also know that in our political system we have referenda, and this referendum is not ruled out. So it's better to have an agreement first and also to try to negotiate a little bit. But if that is not successful, then of course the government or the government will propose to the parliament to adopt the measures that, as we have proposed them, and try to survive the public opinion and the referendum, if there would be one. But we also count on the responsibility of people who have the means to collect signatures, because if we have a referendum, it will be in, I don't know, hardly before summer, maybe even after summer, especially if it's challenged at the Constitutional Court. And then it will be end of year, and we may end the year with the current budget, because if all these measures that we are proposing are voted against on the referendum, as you know, for 1 year no government can propose the same measures again. So they will be actually without instruments to fight the fiscal crisis. So that would really be not a good scenario, and I hope that those in this society who have the power to organize referenda also understand this. And then after 2012 and 13, a gradual reduction more or less to the balanced budget in 2015. As you know, the government has also proposed a fiscal rule for the constitution, and that fiscal rule would actually demand us to have a balanced budget in 2015, provided that economic conditions are normal in that year, which we are certain they will be. And this constitutional rule has passed the first test, so there was a vote on Wednesday in Parliament. It was not an easy vote, but finally it was decided that the Parliament will go forward with this procedure. We don't know how quickly this procedure can be ended, but at least there was, on the principle level, a very high agreement that we need the balanced budget rule as one of the basic values of this society enshrined in the Constitution. How this will be worded exactly, this will be debated in the next weeks. We hope this debate can be ended rather quickly with a sensible constitutional clause. But of course there are other opinions that we should spend a lot of time deliberating on that, and we'll see how this ends.